What is going on, everybody? Sean Daniel with Guitar Control here, and today is going to get straight up exotic because we're going to talk about how we can take a really familiar scale, make a couple different alterations, and start getting some really cool sounds that maybe you haven't ever experimented with before. We're going to do it in a really laid back, slow, and easy way all around the minor pentatonic, adding a single note, replacing a note at a time. So make sure to click the link below because I'm going to tab out everything you're going to do right now, and it's good to have that kind of guide to go back and forth. So, first of all, we're just going to do an A minor chord, all right? This is going to be the chord we're going to be adding different notes to kind of create a tonal atmosphere that might be something a little bit out of the ordinary from what Western music sounds like, okay? So what I mean by this is just we have a regular A minor chord is just an A, a C, and an E. Open A, 2D, 2G, 1B, open E, all right? Now there is a scale that goes along with that really well. It's called the A minor pentatonic scale. It looks like this. That's the fretted way to do it. We can easily do it open. Two ways of playing the exact same notes. A string open 3, D string open 2, G string open 2, or 5th fret on the E string 5-8, A string 5-7, D string 5-7. Any way you want to combine these notes with each other is going to sound good, right? And good being by like Western music standards. Now, what we can do, and what we're going to do is we're going to replace a note, one of these 5 notes, with a different note that isn't found in this scale, just to kind of see how it affects everything, okay? The very first one we're going to do is we're going to count through, and we're going to use the fretted notes as an example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6th note being the A again, right? So we really have 5 different notes. The first one we're going to do is we're going to replace the 5th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, by raising it 1 fret. So instead of going 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, we're going to go 5, 8, 5, 7, 6, 7. Okay? Now, already you can kind of tell there's maybe like a different kind of a sound, maybe a more mysterious, more exotic flavor by just replacing that note. Now, you can actually add this to the scale if you want, like this. But I think to really get to grasp the concept of what this note is doing, we're going to just replace this note in the scale. Again, this note being a G, replacing with a G sharp to A. Alright, so I think one of the best ways to really understand the tonal center of what's happening here is to play the chord and then go right into that thing that we've made special from the scale, okay? So the exercise I'm going to tab out is going to sound like this. So if we slow it down, all we're doing is we're taking the A minor chord, we're getting the root note, the 5th note in that chord, which is the 2nd fret on the D string. Again, this is an E. When I say the 5th note, A, B, C, D, E, it's a 5th of A. So A, 2D, chord, then from there we're going to go right to that note that we've adjusted, manipulated, added, however you want to look at it. The 6th fret of the D string. So from A minor to 6D. And then we're going to go from 6D to 7D to 6D, 7A, 8E, 5E, which is the A string again. Okay? Just by kind of hammering on this, really playing this a lot, you're getting an idea of what this is doing to the scale. Maybe you've heard of something called the harmonic minor scale. This is going to be part of the sound of that by taking the minor scale and adding. A lot of types of Spanish music use this interval, an interval being a space between 2 notes, really fluently. Now the next one we're going to do, as a different example, is we're also going to take another kind of darker sounding note. And what I mean by that is we're going to go back to that, we're going to cleanse the palette of that, go back to minor pentatonic. just to kind of give our ears a break and go back to what we're used to hearing. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the third note and raise it, okay? So now we've got 5E, 8E, 6A, 7A, 5D, 7D, okay? So it's still a pentatonic scale, it's still a 5-note scale, but it's not the minor pentatonic scale that you're used to. It's really the same thing with one variation. And we do the exact same thing as we did before, but now we're going to slide to the 6th fret of the A string, and we're going to kind of hear how that sounds. It sounds a little bit similar, it's still kind of a mysterious, exotic type of a sound, but it is actually different. This being a flattened 5 of the chord, or a sharp 4, however you want to look at it. Again, don't get bogged down with the terminology, it's more just the sound and training your ears. That's going to be the exercise that's going to be tapped out for this one. Same thing as before, but now we're going 6, 7, 6, 8E, 5E, 8E, back to the A minor chord. Now we can actually switch these up and kind of play them in the same breath. Maybe the first time we do it is going to be the first thing that we did, and the second time so a lot of these can be combined with each other because A is still our root note. These are different things that we can do off of an A chord, and all of this stuff is movable. If you wanted to do it in B minor, you would just move everything up 2 frets. And then we would go to move it around. So it's really just kind of like adjusting these intervals with each other and kind of seeing how they work, all right? Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take one more interval and we're going to kind of look at that, all right? So far what we've done is we've taken one on the D string and moved it, one on the A string and moved it. So let's do one on the low E string. And we're going to take the root note and then just add what's called its minor second, one note higher. Okay? Now, instead of going to the 3 frets higher, we're actually going to replace the minor third, which is the 8th fret on the E string, with the 6th fret on the E string, okay? So now, I think this is a really weird one because it takes the minor third, which is a really important part of A minor, and adding that minor second, okay? So for example, if we do an A minor chord, then alright, so we're getting some really cool exotic sounds, and we're really not doing anything that difficult. It's just really kind of taking a very, very simple, familiar shape, A minor, and then altering it. One way, the first way we did it was adding a sharpened 5th note. The next way we did it was sharpening the 3rd note, and then kind of, going 2 frets back on the 2nd note. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about what if we just wanted to add all 3 of these new kind of exotic notes into the existing scale, all right? So now we're kind of making our own bigger scale. Again, pentatonic is a 5-note scale. All the other ones, since we just replaced one of the existing notes with a different note, those are still technically 5-note scales, even though they're different. This is going to be that same scale with all these new ones. And it's really easy to kind of see conceptually because we really just added the 6th fret to either the E string, the A string, or the D string, all right? So if we just added those into the A minor pentatonic scale, we get something that looks like this. I think the more important thing about this lesson isn't necessarily just remembering these specific ones, it's just knowing that if maybe you're stuck creatively, you want to try something different, take an existing scale, alter one note, and just kind of see what happens, right? There's really no, what sounds good and what sounds bad is so subject to somebody's opinion that really I think one of the best ways to get out of a rut, if that's what you're experiencing as you're playing, is by doing something kind of out of the box, maybe something from like a different culture, a different genre of music. All this stuff I think sounds really cool, especially in just kind of an experimental context. You really don't know what you might end up kind of gravitating towards or sticking towards. And I think this is kind of a cool thing to mix up with your practicing. So definitely let us know what you think, what kind of feedback you have, maybe some of the altered scales that you like, feel free to share them. And also any ideas for future videos, let us know because we'd love to hear what you think. Definitely click around on some of these other videos by myself, other great instructors, anything on the Guitar Control channel, and hopefully we will talk to you guys soon in the comments section and beyond. So thanks for stopping by.